Hello, in this video I'm going to be explaining the little man computer concept. This is going to be done in two parts. There's going to be two videos. The first part focuses on what the little man computer is, and the second part is actually going to show you how you can start using it using an online resource. First of all, I apologise for the way I sound. I've got a bit of a cold. You could probably pick up on that anyway, but here we go. We'll crack on. So, the little man computer, LMC for short, is kind of a concept that explains how a computer works in very basic terms. So what I want you to do is imagine a man in a room. Okay, so we'll draw this guy in here. Okay, he's a very happy chap. And this guy's job is to do three things. He is going to fetch instructions. He's going to decode those instructions, and he's going to execute those instructions. So FDE, fetch, decode, execute. And he's going to keep doing this over and over again. So you could describe this as a cycle. Okay, so the fetch, decode, execute cycle. So what is inside this room? Well, there is an inbox tray where things come into the room. There is an outbox tray where things come out of the room. There is also a whole load of mailboxes. Okay, so let's draw those in. This might get a bit squiffy, but we'll draw them in anyway. Each mailbox has an address. Let's finish drawing this in. Oh, phone, got to put it on silent. So these are all the mailboxes. Okay, there's loads. They just keep going and going. Okay, so I'll kind of show that they carry on going with a little squiggle. So each of these mailboxes has an address. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 onwards. Okay, so they just keep going. Let's put mailboxes here. So mailboxes. Okay. There is also a what we'll call a calculator. Really, it's the accumulator. So actually, let's do it by the correct term. So oh dear, what's going on here? I've got a bit of lag on my pad. So accumulator. Okay, yeah, my pad is lagging. I don't know why. And there is also what we call a program counter. Okay, so this is our program counter. Okay, so on here we've got a button that adds to the program counter, one that subtracts, and we'll have another one that resets. Okay. So this man walks into the room, and his job is to go to the mailboxes, which are first of all he goes to the program counter and goes to the mailboxes that this program counter looks at, fetches an instruction or a piece of data, and does something with it. So let's write some instructions into this mailbox, into some of the mailboxes. So I'm going to start off by putting the instructions in for a program which is going to add two numbers together. Okay, and I'll explain what these are going to do in a second. Okay, as we go through. So add, and then we want to out that, and then we're going to halt. Okay, so get a new color. Okay. So the program counter currently reads 0, and there's nothing in the accumulator, nothing in the in tray, nothing in the out tray. The little man is ready. So he's rocked up, okay, he's ready to do his job. So he walks over to the program counter. He sees that the program counter is pointing to position 0. Really, I need to make that 1. Okay, I'm so used to putting 0 at the start of things. The program counter is pointing to position 1, so he walks over to the mailboxes to position 1, and he sees that the first instruction is an input. So what he does is he walks over to the in tray, and he fetches whatever is in the in tray. So let's put in the number 10. So he walks over to the in tray, sees that there's a number 10 in there, takes that 10, and then puts it into the accumulator. Having done that job, he now changes the program counter and increments it by pressing the addition sign to 2. So he's fetched an instruction from the mailbox, he's decoded what it says, and then he's executed that command. So he decoded that meant input, went to the input tray, fetched that piece of data, and he's executed it and put it into the accumulator. Program counter goes to 2, so now what he does is he walks over to position 2, looks at the instruction, sees that it says STA, which stands for store, and then it also has a mailbox location. So it says store whatever's in the accumulator. So store, ST store, A accumulator, store the value in the accumulator into mailbox 7. So he walks over to the accumulator and takes that number 10, he copies it and will store it into position 7. So he puts 10 into there. Having completed that, having executed that command, he increases the program counter so it points to position 3. So he walks over to position 3, fetches the instruction, which is input, decodes it as an input, and executes the command. So he walks towards the in tray where there is another number waiting for him, which he sees as number 8. Now his job is to take that 8 from the input tray and take it over to the accumulator. What happens now is that whatever was in the accumulator is removed and replaced with the new number. Okay, so the number was 8. Okay. Having done that command, he goes over to the program counter and increments the job. So let's remove that 3, and the 3 now becomes a 4. So by now you probably guess what's going to happen. He goes over to position for 4, fetches the instruction which says add whatever number is in the accumulator to whatever number is in position 7. So we've got the number 7 here. So what he does is he decodes that instruction and executes it. So he goes to position 7 over here, gets that 10 and adds it to the 8. So he does a bit of a calculation. So he does 8 plus 10, giving us a total of 18. Having done that instruction, he goes over to the program counter, increments it from 4 to 5. 5 says out, so he carries that out, that instruction. So he takes 18, he takes that and transfers it to the out tray. So 18 goes here, still in the accumulator, but he's made a copy and put it into the out tray, and out goes 18. Having done that job, he increments the program counter, so it says 6. Probably easy if I just rub this out. Increments the program counter, so it says 6. And walks over to position 6. It says halt. He executes that command, which basically says, job is done, you can stop. So now he is happy that he has done his job. That is the basic principle of how a computer works. Think of this as your input devices. It could be like a keyboard, a mouse, a sensor of some kind. Think of this as the output devices like sound or monitors or something like that. And then here is like the CPU. This is like the accumulator is like the CPU kind of doing the calculations, the number crunching. The program counter is basically a register. It allows you to control where to find the information. And the mailboxes are like your RAM. This is the memory of the computer. And the memory of the computer can store instructions. So here's an example of instruction, the input. Okay, these are your instructions. And you can also store pieces of data. So 10 in this case is a piece of data which is being stored. And our program counter is always pointing towards the instructions. And then when some instructions will tell you where to get the data from. And at all points you can, increment the program counter and then adjust the program counter to point to different memory locations. So that's the basics of how the Little Man computer works. And if you understand that, then you can go on to the next video and look at how you can actually start programming the Little Man computer. If you don't understand this too well, I suggest watching this video again until you kind of get to grips with it all.